The CEO pretended to sleep to test a janitor dad, then his whisper froze her cold. The night the city forgot to sleep, a woman who ruled boardrooms with a single look lay still on a leather couch, pretending to be unconscious, while a janitor with tired eyes pushed his cart across the polished floor. She thought she was about to witness honesty or theft, loyalty or weakness. She thought she was in control of the test. But she had no idea that within minutes, a single whispered sentence would pierce through her carefully built armor and leave her heart frozen in a way no market crash ever had. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength of ordinary people, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that humanity still matters. The man was known in the building as just another janitor, one of many who arrived after sunset and disappeared before sunrise. His uniform was always clean but faded, his shoes worn thin at the heels. No one knew much about him except that he worked harder than most and never complained. He had been assigned to the executive floor that week, the sacred space where power lived behind glass walls and mahogany doors. To him, it was just another floor to clean, another set of offices to leave spotless before dawn. What no one knew was that every extra shift he took was a calculation, every late night a sacrifice made for a little girl waiting at home with schoolbooks spread across a chipped table. The CEO had stayed late that night, something she rarely did anymore. The weight of decisions pressed on her chest as she lay down on the couch in her private office, staring at the ceiling lights until an idea formed, sharp and impulsive. She had spent years wondering if people around her were genuine or simply obedient to her title. The janitor scheduled for that floor became, in her mind, an unexpected opportunity. She closed her eyes, slowed her breathing, and allowed her body to go still. To anyone watching, she looked asleep, maybe exhausted, maybe vulnerable. It was a role she had never played before. The janitor entered quietly, as he always did. He moved with the practiced care of someone who had learned not to disturb others. His cart rolled softly, and he began his routine, wiping surfaces, emptying bins, restoring order to spaces that would host power again in the morning. When he reached the CEO's office, he paused. Seeing someone lying there unsettled him. He stood still for a moment, not out of fear, but concern. He had seen too many people pushed beyond their limits by jobs that demanded everything and gave little back. He checked his watch, calculated time, then carefully adjusted the lights so they would not glare into her eyes. As he worked, his thoughts drifted home. His daughter had a fever that morning, but he could not afford to miss the shift. Medical bills had taught him cruel lessons about the cost of love. He cleaned desks where decisions were made that shaped thousands of lives, yet his own world revolved around one small child and the promise he had made to her mother before she passed away, a promise to protect their daughter no matter how heavy the burden became. Each wipe of the cloth, each step across the carpet, was fueled by that vow. He finished most of the office and hesitated again near the couch. The CEO's phone lay on the table, its screen lighting up briefly with a notification. He noticed the name on the screen, recognized it from emails he had seen while cleaning. He could have looked longer, could have learned something valuable. Instead, he turned the phone face down, shielding her privacy the way he wished someone would shield his child's innocence from the world's harsh edges. Then, believing he was alone with a sleeping stranger, he leaned slightly closer, not to invade her space, but as if speaking to himself. His voice dropped to a whisper, raw and unguarded, carrying words he had never spoken aloud in this place. He whispered that some people worked so hard they forgot why they started, that power meant nothing if it crushed the human heart beneath it, that he hoped whoever she was would wake up tomorrow remembering she was once just a person too. He added, almost as an afterthought, that kindness was the only thing his daughter believed in anymore, and he refused to let the world prove her wrong. Those words sliced through the silence and struck the CEO like ice water. Her breath almost faltered, but she forced herself to remain still. No report, no accusation, no angry shareholder had ever shaken her the way that quiet confession did. She felt exposed, not because she had been discovered, but because she had been seen in a way she had avoided for years. The janitor straightened, finished his work, and left the office exactly as he found it, except for the weight he unknowingly left behind. When the door closed, the CEO opened her eyes. The room felt different, smaller, as if the walls had leaned in to listen. She sat up slowly, replaying the whisper in her mind. She had expected to test a man's integrity and instead found herself questioning her own. Memories surfaced of a younger version of herself, full of ideals, promising she would never become distant or cruel. Somewhere along the climb, those promises had been buried under profits and survival. The next day, she could not focus. Meetings blurred together, numbers lost meaning. She asked for the janitor's file under the pretense of a routine review. What she read unsettled her further. A single father. No disciplinary issues. Overtime hours that bordered on exhaustion. Commendations from supervisors who rarely noticed anyone. She learned about his daughter through a benefits form, saw the medical claims, the patterns of someone barely staying afloat. This was not a man playing a role. This was a man living a truth she had almost forgotten existed. She began to watch quietly over the following weeks, not with suspicion, but curiosity. She noticed how he fixed small things without being asked, how he left notes for coworkers reminding them to take breaks, how he brought extra gloves in winter for those who forgot theirs. None of it was performative. None of it was rewarded. It was simply who he was. And each observation chipped away at the walls she had built around herself. Change did not come as a dramatic announcement. It arrived in subtle decisions. She approved a fund for employees facing medical emergencies, insisting it remain anonymous. She restructured late-night shifts to reduce burnout. She started walking the floors occasionally, not to inspect, but to see. When she finally called the janitor into her office weeks later, her heart raced in a way it hadn't since her first day as CEO. She did not reveal the test. She did not mention the whisper. Instead, she thanked him for his work, offered him opportunities for training and advancement, and made sure his daughter's healthcare needs would no longer be a monthly terror. The janitor left that office confused, grateful, and overwhelmed. He did not understand why his life had shifted so suddenly, but he accepted it with the humility that had carried him this far. At home, his daughter noticed the change first. Her father smiled more. He slept a little longer. Hope crept back into their small apartment like sunlight through cracked blinds. For the CEO, the transformation was quieter but deeper. She returned to that couch one night, not to test anyone, but to sit and think. She realized leadership was not about catching people when they failed, but about recognizing them when they were quietly doing right. The whisper she had overheard became a compass, guiding decisions she once would have made without hesitation or mercy. Near the end of this story, before it closes, take a moment to comment below and share what this janitor's quiet integrity meant to you. Your words might inspire someone else who feels unseen. Months later, the building felt different. Not because of new policies alone, but because compassion had a way of spreading. Employees helped one another more. Smiles came easier. And the CEO, once isolated by her own power, found herself reconnected to the reason she had pursued success in the first place. She never told the janitor about the night she pretended to sleep. She did not need to. The lesson had already changed her. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even the smallest acts of kindness can echo loudly in someone else's life, please like this video, share it, and let us know in the comments. Your engagement helps stories like this reach others who need a reminder that humanity still wins, even in the quietest whispers.